Hi, everyone. Good day to you. This is Yosef Yom Tov with the Empire of David podcast, the only podcast that actually has a solution for humanity, a platform to bring us all upward. So go to our website, hit the citizenship button, get your free citizenship certificate, and join the movement. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Now let's move on to the topic of this video, which is who killed Ismael Haniyeh. We're getting all kinds of conflicting reports about that. And Iran says one day it's a drone, another hour it says it's a missile, next day it says it's an airplane. So what is the real reason why? I mean, who actually assassinated? What was it? Little humor.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman.
But we know it's probably not Superman. Let's look at some of the conflicting reports in this presentation.
Days after the killing of Hamas boss Ismael Haniyeh in Tehran, there seems to be no clarity on how the visiting Hamas political bureau chief was actually murdered. The initial statement from Hamas said that Haniyeh was killed in an Israeli airstrike. Iranian media, on the other hand, initially reported 3 missiles were launched by a drone and later that the missile was launched from outside of Iran. Now, a New York Times report claims that Haniyeh was killed by a bomb smuggled into the Tehran guest house around 2 months back. Meanwhile, the Iranian Fars news agency reported that Ismael Haniyeh was assassinated by an airborne projectile that struck his accommodation in Tehran, causing damage to its roof and windows. To add to the suspense, Israel has also not taken responsibility for the killing of the Hamas boss.
When Israel wants to take responsibility, Israel takes responsibility. If it has not taken responsibility, it's for one of 2 reasons. Either A, it does not want to, or B, it has not done it.
A, it doesn't want to take responsibility, or B, it has not done it. And I suggest that B is true. Israel did not, in my estimation, assassinate Haniyeh. It would be much easier to do it a different way. None of the reports make sense. Let's look at the initial information coming out of Iran, which is anomalous, and that's what tipped me off. Anytime the reporting is anomalous, the news that is behind it is anomalous. You know how news reports are reported, and when they become weird in their reporting and don't follow the normal pattern, then you know that there's something you should look into. And that's what I saw with the reporting of Iran. They announced that Ismael Haniyeh was assassinated and Israel did it, period, and that was it. And they've never done that before. They always give more details, show images, something. Here, everybody is left guessing, and then the next day, Iran says it's a missile, it's a drone, it's an airstrike, it's a missile from another building. And then this reporting came out that a bomb was planted by Israel 2 months ago. Now let's look at that idea. How could they not find a bomb for 2 months? Even a bigger question is, how do they know? This is the biggest question. How do they know it was there for 2 months? If you knew it was there for 2 months, then you knew 2 months ago it was there. Or you at least knew who was there 2 months ago and how it was put there 2 months ago, because if you have that kind of a timeline of 2 months, then you should know who had access to that building 2 months ago. So none of that makes any sense to me at all. Also, it doesn't make sense that Israel is going to have one of its human assets place a bomb there, and then knowing that they have records of everybody in that building and have cameras and whatnot. And the other interesting thing is that Hamas also made the exact same statement at the exact same time in a coordinated statement. And then you also heard in this report that you just heard, you can rewind it, that the report from Iran was that the building roof was damaged. And this is the building that is purported to be the building. And there's no damage on the roof. This part of the roof looks exactly like that part of the roof. It looks like somebody just draped over some construction shielding for the sun, and not much damage at all. So apparently, and then another thing is, if Israel did this, how did they kill his bodyguard also? How do you know where he's going to be and what bed? Were they both sleeping in the same bed? None of this makes any sense. And then now the reports coming from Iran is that it was a 7-kilogram warhead. This is what they're saying. It's a 7-kilogram warhead. Well, okay, show me the shrapnel from that 7-kilogram warhead. Let's analyze it and see which country it was made at. They're not going to show it. They're not going to say, here, we have the proof. And if they do, they're not going to allow anybody to see it. So it's not going to be allowed for... So who is the one that had Haniyeh killed? Well, I believe it was the Ayatollah who ordered his killing. And why would the Ayatollah have Haniyeh killed? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, Hamas is radical Sunni Islam in a highly religious charged way, whereas the Palestinian Authority are basically secular. You know, they're not radical Islam at all, or not as radical. Let's put it that way. They are radical. Don't get me wrong. They're just not religiously radical. And that's good for Iran because Iran is radical Shia Islam, and radical Shia Islam hates, and they both, Shia and Sunni, are in a death battle for control of all Islam. And so they're mortal enemies who have found convenience in this. But let's look at Ismael Haniyeh. He doesn't have anything left. I mean, he has no bargaining chip. Everybody can see that what's left of Hamas is a few gangs and some tunnels, and they're pretty much finished as a fighting force. And so why does the Ayatollah need a political entity like Hamas that will be like a monkey on his back, demanding things and wanting things and swaying the whole movement when they have nothing to offer to the Ayatollah? And worse, they have radical Sunni Islam to offer, which is not what the Ayatollah wants. And I'm also suspicious that it was done in a coordinated effort with Hamas. I believe that there are elements in Hamas that coordinated this with the Ayatollah. I think it was an inside job because they both just immediately announced it with just a blanket one-sentence statement, and Israel did it. And the result of this is we have the United States sending a carrier group to the region, and we can see that clip here.
The U.S. is preparing to send fresh military assets to the Middle East, including a carrier strike group and a fighter squadron. It is bracing for a further escalation of hostilities as Iran vows retaliation for the killing of a senior Hamas leader in Tehran earlier this week. It blames Israel for the attack. Israel has not commented publicly either way. New today, the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon, is telling Americans who want to get out of the country to book any ticket available. It's also warning those who do not leave that they, quote, should not rely on the U.S. government for assisted departure or evacuation in a crisis. I want to bring in now retired U.S. Army Major General Dana Pittard to talk more about this. General, I want to ask you to have a listen here to National Security Council spokesman John Kirby.
Okay, so he goes on to say, and all of the military experts, General Keane, every talking head you see online in all the news channels, big and small, agree on one thing, which I disagree with, and that is that Iran is going to attack in a bigger way than they did on April 14th. They won't, because they know Israel didn't do it. And the reason why everybody is saying that is because the last time Israel attacked and assassinated an Iranian, it wasn't even in Iran. It was at one of Iran's, it wasn't even an embassy. It was a building next to an embassy of Iran. And Iran shot 300 missiles directly from Iran, drones and missiles, directly from Iran in a fervent attack, religious fervor. Here, this is in Tehran itself. How humiliating is that? Unless, of course, the Ayatollah ordered it. And you would have the kind of reports that you're having now if the Ayatollah ordered it, because all the security forces wouldn't know what happened. Just a very small team would know what happened, and everybody else would be trying to find the culprit inside of Iran, inside of their ranks, from the New York Times and other reports that are coming out that there was a bomb planted there and that they have a mole, and so that would, and because they're not privy to the Ayatollah doing it, they would all be charged with finding what happened, and then slowly the information would filter to them that, oh, we found out what happened, don't bother to keep looking, and oh, by the way, it wasn't a bomb after all, it was an Israeli airstrike, therefore they don't have to keep arresting people and keep investigating people for nothing, and be in utter paranoia for nothing, because they know that Israel didn't do it. And again, the Prime Minister of Israel has come out twice and has, right after the assassination, and in Hebrew made a public statement and announced some of the people that they assassinated and left his name out. And then Israel came out again and made a statement in English, Prime Minister of Israel, and made the same kind of announcement and named some names, but didn't name Haniyeh. And so what Israel should do is brace for an attack, because when somebody blames you, sometimes they're going to attack you anyways, even though they know you didn't do it. But if Iran does attack, what you're going to see is just some very symbolic attack, something very small, if at all. They may just hope this goes away. And if the past is any guide, they would have attacked by now. They haven't attacked. They won't attack in any big way, because in my estimation, which is the only estimation that I can find on the internet that agrees with myself, is that Israel did not assassinate Ismael Haniyeh. Ismael Haniyeh was assassinated by the orders of the Ayatollah in coordination with Hamas. For exactly what reasons? I'm sure that's very complicated and for others to tease out. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to join the Empire of David, the narrative that will unite humanity, unite Africa, and lead us forward, upward, away from the left and right paradigm and upward to freedom and prosperity and goodwill to all.